Okay, today we're going to talk about another software program. Many of you may have been interested in learning how to program percussion, or what are called drum tracks, or drum machines, or groove boxes, so forth. There are many software programs that are out there that are designed to do specifically that, to handle really the rhythm or the drum track of a popular song or whatever kind of genre you're working in. There's one online that is called Hydrogen Advanced Drum Machine for GNU Linux, but it does run on Macintosh, PC, as well as Linux machines. And it does have quite a bit of robust features that for programming your own sort of drum sounds and your own drum patches. So let's quickly take a look at that and show you how to get access to that and design your own sort of drum riffs. So you see here on the web page, which is hydrogen-music.org. We'll take you to their web page. They do have a lot of users. The forum is a really great place to find out all sorts of new drum patches that people have posted. You can see here new drum kits people have put up online. So it really is a sort of a community of people that are using this program and sending information to each other, and new drum patches, and designing new instruments and so forth. So there's a continual sort of update of a blog here for what's happening in the community. And you can sign in for your username and create a password with a new account, and then you'll have access to all that information. But even before you sign in, you can start downloading the software and start using it. And you look under downloads here. If we click the downloads, you can download the application. Many of the sound libraries, which will have all the demo programs, we can also access. There are several very good demos that you should take a look at. I will go through one of those today. Then features, it will take you through that. Screenshots show you some of the different screens that are possible in the software. Documentation, very extensive documentation. There's a manual, tutorial. There are video tutorials, which are really helpful. FAQ, so forth, so forth. And then for probably a developer, you may not want to get into at this point. So if you go to the download page, we download the app. We click on this. We will then get excuse me, down here is the app. So you can go download the latest version. Probably is the 0.9.5 here, which is for Linux, for Mac, or for Windows. So this would be the one you would download, and it should be pretty easy to install on your computer. The sound libraries as well. If you go, I would suggest getting all these free sound libraries, which gives you lots of different instruments and different patterns and songs that you can put into your files. And then the demos, there are 6 or 7 good demos here that you can load in to just sort of try out different kind of sounds. So you'll see here that many of these sounds and some of these demos here were made with Pure Data, which is a program that I'll introduce you to in this course a little bit. We won't be using it extensively, but that's one that I hope that many of you will start to work in and design your own sounds later. So now let's, once you've downloaded the program, let's go, before we do that, take a look at the user manual. There, if you click on the user manual in the documentation, it takes you here, and you'll see very extensive web user manual available here, with every aspect of the whole program is outlined, and very thorough kind of explanations for how everything works. So that's very useful. The tutorial, if we take a look at the tutorial, also I'll take you through parts of this first tutorial just so you can sort of see how you would construct and build up your own drum machine, and it'll take you through, we won't go through this step by step, but I'll take you through some of the main components of it to sort of see how you would go about building up your own drum machine patch. Pretty easy to do. Just kind of read through this and you'll see probably within 10 minutes you'll be able to figure out sort of how to design most of this program. It's not that complicated. All right, so now if we go over to, okay, let me show you the videos. Videos, there are 3 different categories: the basic functionality, the advanced, and then some other useful videos. So if you still aren't clear on how to use the program after watching this and looking at the manual and tutorials, then take a look at these videos and it'll talk you through each step, which is even clearer probably than all of us. So very extensive documentation for how to learn and use this program. So you should all, within a little bit of time, be able to use a drum machine and design your own drum patterns for your songs. All right, so let's go to the program itself. When you open it up, I've already loaded in a demo. This is a demo titled Diddly, and this can walk you through the basic components of the screen here. So up here we see the standard timing, the transport information, which is all fairly standard. Once we see this collection of different kind of patterns here laid out in an ordering here, we're building up a song. So you'll see each of these is a different unit of usually 4 beats or more, but you create different kind of patterns that you put into this list over here, and then each one has a different set of drum drum patterns in it. So when you click on these, there you can turn it on or off. But you click on these, you'll see different sets of drums that are being performed during each pattern. Your drum set is over here. We can add more instruments to our drum set if we want, up to I think 32. And so you've got plenty of instruments that we can load into our kit. Then we name each of these patterns as a different arrangement of different instruments being played. So we'll walk you through how to create this. So what you do is you build up your different patterns, and you may have 8 or 9 different kind of drum patterns, or as many as you want. You can keep adding patterns to this list, and then you just lay them out in various sequence, given whether it's a fill or it's a break or a chorus. Usually there's some kind of function to what the drummer is doing on that, and then you'll make them to fit into that particular kind of style you want, and then lay them out, and then that's the song. So we're in the song here. Eventually we'll get into the pattern and take a look at individual patterns in just a second. Over here, this is the tempo mark, which we can click on that and it'll pull up a screen if you want to lower that tempo, which you can do this while it's playing. We could change the tempo, change it down to 110, and then it'll be at a slower tempo, whatever. You also can have MIDI input on this. I don't have a MIDI keyboard or some kind of MIDI input control device hooked up at the moment, but if you do, when you plug that in here, you could put the notes into your screen here with a MIDI input controller. And this tells you the CPU, but usually that's not a problem. Over here we have the instrument rack. You'll see any instruments, like we click on the crash over here in our kit, and then it'll pull up all these the parameters of the crash sound. Here's an envelope generator, attack, decay, sustain, release, and then we have the general gain here, and then we also have a filter here. We can adjust the cutoff with resonance. So down here we have the instrument rack. You'll see if we click on one of the instruments in our drum kit over here, such as crash cymbal, you then can see the parameters for this cymbal that you can adjust. We do have an envelope generator here with attack, decay, sustain, release. We also have a general gain for that volume level. We can mute it as well. We also have a cutoff frequency and resonance for a low-pass filter on that. And then we can randomize the pitch of it if we want to make it even more interesting sound. We can also change the MIDI channel that it responds to and whatever note is assigned to that from the MIDI keyboard. So each of these you can adjust those particular parameters, as you'll see as we adjust or click on each note in the kit. So that is the instrument. We can also, from this rack, go to the sound library, change it. And this is where if we wanted to change our whole kit, we could pull up some of the other kits here. And you'll see there are a couple of system drum kits, and then there's some user ones that you can download. And you can also download a lot of the other ones from the forum, where people have made their own drum kits. So there's a lot more. And then individual patterns you can put into that, which you can then create these patterns and then load them in to create new kind of songs, or as well as whatever drum kit you want to add in. So that's under Sound Library, gives you that capability. So by going to the instrument, also up here, that's the instrument rack that turns that on or off for you, which accesses that. The mixer also is very functional, so it's a separate window that pops up. So each of these instruments in our kit will have its own fader of volume. So we can scroll through and see each one has a different volume, so we can set each one to a particular volume that we like. You can also add in effects. You have 4 different effects processors here, which you can then turn on different effects if you want to add to each of these. You have the mute solo as well. And then you can pan each instrument to a different part, left or right, which is usually what you want to do in a drum machine to kind of give some sense of direction to. You'll see some of these, the lower instruments have been already panned in this particular setup. And then we have a general master volume over here. You can also do some humanizing and swing patterns, which if you want to create straight rhythms in this, swinging it will obviously give you kind of a triplet feel to it and exaggerate that into a, usually in jazz you'll do some kind of swing pattern. But you can humanize, which gives it a little bit of imperfections in general around the how fast, the velocity. Because when we record these or put them in, usually it gives you one velocity. We'll come back to that in a second. So humanize makes the velocity a bit uneven, because when humans play drums, they don't always obviously play the same exact volume all the time. So the mix window is a very useful window that when you're creating the drum patch, the drum set, usually you want to get all this kind of stuff set, but you can clearly turn it off up here. So those are the main components of the instruments, the mixer, and then where you will build up your songs in the various patterns, and then your kit. So looking into the pattern, for example, if we want to turn on the first pattern, which is this floor tom, we'll see there are, in this case, 4 beats into this pattern, and we can set the size of that by hitting on the number of beats we want to add. The grid resolution, each beat, as you'll see here, has 4 different divisions to each beat, which generally that's referred to as a 16th note. So this is the grid resolution, gives us 4 subdivisions to place accents or percussion sounds within that. If we want to increase that to 32, then you'll see we get 8 different points within each beat that we can have different sounds that occur. So there will be many times where the drummer will be playing 8 different divisions or 8, but we can start out with just 16, which gives us the 4 different divisions of each beat. And then we can quantize and so forth. Here we can set up the drum set, we can change the note links. If you want to be putting these notes in from a MIDI keyboard, you might want to change this not from a sort of a drum layout, but from a piano layout. So here you see the name of the piano notes. So that would help you, because each MIDI keyboard would be putting in a different note in this. Each of these different pitches are assigned to a MIDI keyboard. So that's very easy to shift over to that. Down at the bottom, when we are looking, say, if I click on the tom low, then we see in our pattern here, we have beats every 8th note, or 2 per beat that are occurring on the low tom. Now notice down here, this is the velocity. So the louder the note, we can click and drag these bars up. If you get extremely loud, it turns red, and then you get a black bar when it's sort of medium loud. As you get softer, it turns gray, and then if it gets very soft, it gets very light gray. So it's this is velocity, so you can see this is sort of humanized because none of the velocities are exactly the same. So this has been sort of rounded out, so they're never totally even in that. Generally, in many cases, your drum patterns, you will want your off beats perhaps sometimes a little bit softer than your down beats. So we can adjust all this very quickly. And if you just kind of click and drag across a note or a bunch of notes, you can do them all at once. You see, I can make all those very soft or bring them all back up just by holding my mouse down. So let's bring this beat a little bit louder back up again. All right, so that's velocity, and this is where we're adding the articulation for each note. So let's go back and rewind this, and you'll see each of these patterns. I'll try to click on each pattern so you can see what happens down here as we play through the song. So this repeats 3 times. Now we go to the floor fill, and then to diddly. Then to a break, and to a norm, and a fill. Norm 1, norm. Back to the diddly. And then it repeats. So you see we have the loop command set up here, so when it gets to the last of these, it will automatically go back and start looping the whole section, so you can just have it in playing indefinitely. All right, so that's the general layout for that. So let's quickly, one more thing down here. We can change the display down here from velocity to some of the other informations, to the key notes that are involved in this. So some of these you might want to play with. We can also have it left to right panning. You can do that quickly here. So a number of other interesting features. Mainly the velocity is the thing that I would say you'd be working with the most. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project here and just see if we can see how to build up our own project. So let's create a new one, and you see you get just a blank. There are no patterns. They're just called pattern 1, pattern 2. We can rename these. If we do a right click on these, we can pull up and properties, then you can give it another name. If we want to give it intro 1, for example. We can categorize it into various kind of categories, but you see and then its name changes to intro 1. And you see it just gives us one little 4-bar pattern. So let's just build up our first pattern here that we've called intro 1. And what you'll see is we might want to just start with, find a particular, let's start with a closed hi-hat. What you can do here, again, if you right-click on this, you will get a couple options here. You can, if you want to do fill notes, you can do just the half notes or the every third notes or fourth notes. Let's do, for the moment, fill all notes for 1 second. So you see all the notes are filled up. Any of these, if you just click on the beat, it will place a note there. If you click again, it goes off. So it's very easy to put them individually. But if you know you're going to have a lot of beats, sometimes it's easier to do a right click with your mouse, and then either you can clear or fill or randomize velocity, all those kind of things that you can do. You can delete the whole instrument if you want here. So we've put notes in each one. So just to kind of practice, let's listen to this for a second. I'm going to slow my tempo down. So all I do is click on this, and then I can put in a new tempo. I'm going to put it about 89. And then we have, let's listen to this. It will automatically just loop this first pattern over and over as I hit the play button. All right, so we're just listening to one 4-beat pattern. Each beat is divided, in this case, into a resolution of 16th notes, the grid resolution. And so let's maybe change the velocity of all but the downbeats. We'll leave the downbeats at high velocity, and then everything in between the downbeats, we will lower the velocity. So if I just come down here and click and drag across these 3, I can lower the velocity of everything but the downbeats very quickly. So now we're starting to get an accentuation of the downbeat. All right, so let's add a few other instruments here. This is what I'm doing is I'm building up tutorial 1. This is some of the things that are in that. So if you quickly want to go over, I can go back to the website and show you in tutorial number 1. If we go back to here, then what we're doing, we've sort of walked our way through understanding how the verses, we were laying this out. So we just added in with a closed hi-hat here, each of these. So I'll try to build the next thing, which is putting a snare on beats 2 and 4. And then I'll put a kick on 1, 3, and then right before 3. So let's try that. So I'll go to the snare, and I want it on 2 and 4. And it would be easier here to just do it manually. And then go to my kick, and I want it in 1 and 3, and then the 16th right before that. So now when we listen to this, all right, so now we're building up our pattern slowly. Let's go back to the tutorial so you can see what's next. The velocities were lowered here, as we talked about. Next, we've already done that, so let's continue on down. We'll skip down. This was opening the open hi-hat. They did 4 30-second notes here. Remember, this is one full beat here. Normally we had the grid resolution at 16, but in order to get these at 32nd note, we have to change that resolution to 32, and then we want to get rid of the last 2 here. So let's go back over to the program. So what I'll do is I'll change my grid resolution to 32, and you see then we get 8 different little points in there. So let's go, let's see, that was the open hi-hat, I believe. So if we go to open hi-hat, we would put in the last 8 on there, 1, and then put in the last 4 beats of that. And then we're going to delete these 2. And then I can go, just put it back to the 16th resolution, easier to see where the divisions are. And let's listen to that for a second. All right, I might want to change the velocity of that. Let's see if I take these down. Maybe I'll leave the downbeat up and then take these down a little softer. Oh, excuse me, take that back up. All right, take you down. Oh, excuse me. The reason it wouldn't allow me to do that, I had already changed back to 16th resolution. Let's go back to 32, and now I'll be able to take them all down, bring this one back up as the downbeat, and then we can go back to 32, 16. All right. All right, so that's closer to what we're after, and let's go back to the tutorial and see what's next. So we would then, looks like we've got a snare jazz. We want to add in 2 more beats before beat 4 on that, and then get rid of maybe 1 more beat from our hi-hat, and then add in a mid-tom here on the 2nd and 3rd 16th notes of the 4th beat. So let's try to add all that in. Go back over here to our snare jazz. We need to go back to 32nd. We add in those, and I believe we got rid of that one, and then we added under 16th note, easier to see, under our toms, we did there, and let's see what that sounds like. Okay, so that's essentially how you build up your first pattern. When you're getting ready to make a second pattern, then you could come down and make another block there, and then click on that, and you have the same blank pattern to start. So you would build up as many patterns as you need. If you want to turn them on or off, or you can copy and paste them here again and put them in as many times as you want. So that's essentially the Hydrogen drum machine. It's very easy to build up your sounds, and I think it's a lot of fun to sort of create your own drum patches with. If you want to load in some other instruments, if I go over to the, also the layers, we could put in different layers. We didn't talk about this, if we pick on a particular sound, you'll see here, we get the sample editor here. We can do some editing of that. So if we go down to the edit of the layer, then you'll see we could do some more customized changes in the individual instrument sound itself. So this is a pretty powerful program to be able to give you a lot of these kind of edit commands over the individual instrument sounds themselves. So this is sort of, you can change the start loop points if you wanted a short or different kind of sound. All that's capable here. So very interesting kind of edit commands here in each layer. All right, so that is Hydrogen Drum Machine. Enjoy.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.